You're listening to Business Stories with Ryan Arcaracci, where I speak to business professionals from all walks of life. Thanks for listening, and let's get to it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a new episode. I like to feature brands that are coming out that are unique and interesting. They have a rich history. If you're looking to get into franchising and you're interested in the restaurant world, particularly in barbecue restaurants, we're going to talk to Joe Becker with Woody's Barbecue today. Joe's going to talk all about Woody's and its rich history. So, Joe, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on.
So tell us a little bit about your background and how you kind of fell into this role of working with Woody's and helping the brand grow and expand nationally.
Yeah. So I ran my own business for a little over 7 years. It was an exterior construction business. We did roofing, siding, gutters. And then I bought a franchise as well. So, have a lot of experience in owning a business and what it looks like to own a franchise. And then ended up selling both of those businesses and getting into franchising. And so, I'm doing development for Woody's Barbecue. Woody's Barbecue is an incredible brand. They've got some incredible owners, and they've been around for over 40 years. So if you love barbecue and you're looking to get into franchising, Woody's is a very, very solid option.
Sure. Can you talk a little bit about the history? I know it's a family-based, family-based brand. And it was started by, I believe it was Woody's mom, and this was over 40 years ago, right? So talk a little bit about the story behind that.
Yeah, so Woody's mom is the one that came up with all the original recipes. Grace Mills, it was her food that was originally the soul of the business. And so Grace Mills, Woody, and his wife Yolanda, the three of them together started a partnership and started Woody's Barbecue. So they had their first location. It was a huge success, and they just started growing from there. So, it started as a family thing, but it's still, to this day, even though it's 40 years later, still has those family vibes. Everyone that comes and they meet Woody and Yolanda, they all comment about that, how it's very family centric. So you still feel like you're in a family business, even though it's grown to something much, much larger.
Right. It's interesting how that happens. What do you think are the unique selling points in that situation? I mean, is it the community? Is it the family feel? What do you think is helping them rise to this level of success?
Well, I think their commitment to being involved in the business is probably the thing that most people notice right away. I mean, most founders of a franchise are typically not too involved, but Woody and Yolanda are both very hands-on in the business. They don't have to be as hands-on as they are, but they are, because they love this business. They love what they do. It's very apparent when you meet them both that they are very passionate about the business, about barbecue, about the franchise, and also about the success of everyone that they work with. So I would say that their involvement in day-to-day operations is probably what sets them apart.
Great, great. I mean, without giving out too much information, obviously, it's the food and the product is important too, and that's also driving a lot of business, which has really helped it grow into actually becoming a franchise now. So, can you talk a little bit about, their approach to the product and the food, and how that has evolved and turned into, growing into this level of success through the product and maybe the service too?
Yeah, sure. So I was out at their Huntington location, which is out in central Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
It's kind of out in the woods. You drive down a beautiful drive, through towards the Altoona area. It's heading towards Pittsburgh. So I spent a couple of days at that location in their kitchen, just to get a feel for it, try to understand how the whole business works. It's one of the first things that I did, and I have to say, I mean, really, from an unbiased perspective, this barbecue is incredible. They've got it down to a science. They do have their proprietary sauces and their ingredients and their recipes. They have a recipe book, which is, of course, proprietary, but they've got their process down, and the food that comes out as a result really is incredible. And what amazed me as well was that, they had a full service restaurant going on with, one cook and a helper in the back. So the system that they have for making the food as well is very efficient, um, and can be operated with minimal staffing if it's operated correctly.
Right. So if someone's listening and they're interested in looking into purchasing a Woody's franchise, what type of or profile of buyer are you looking for? Who really fits this type of culture and this brand?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that we're looking for is somebody with leadership or management experience, because you're going to be managing a team,
Right.
and being able to really lead your team is critical.
Yep.
So anything in management or leadership is a big one. And then the second one, because a lot of franchises you need some kind of management or leadership experience. So with Woody's Barbecue, I think the biggest thing is the love for barbecue. Like you
Yep.
have, if you're passionate about food, you're passionate about barbecue, a lot, something that I hear a lot about, when I'm talking to different candidates who are coming on board is, lots of memories from their childhood, barbecuing with their family members, or,
Yep.
something that they do on Sundays with friends and family. And they
Yep.
want to spread that throughout the week, to their community, to other people, and they want to turn that into a business. So if you're passionate about barbecue, that vibe of being able to spend time with family and friends, you're all smiling and laughing and you're watching a football game, or maybe you're playing games outside. If that's the kind of vibe that you want in a business, then Woody's Barbecue is going to fit that mold perfectly. So that's kind of the symbiotic relationship that we're looking for.
That's great. I think that's a great sort of cultural idea, is just that idea of community and family getting together on a Sunday afternoon and having barbecue, eating, watching football, that kind of thing. Talk about a little bit about the onboarding and the training for new franchisees. What can new franchisees expect in terms of what's required of them, as well as sort of the timeline to get set up?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have it figured out. You just plug and play. We have it down into 3 steps. So the first step is real estate selection. Most important thing in the business, like when you're getting started. I mean, it's cliche, location, 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 but in this instance, it's so true. Uh, that location is going to be critical to the success of the business. We're looking for high visibility. We're looking for a drive-through. Number of things that we're looking for. And Woody, like I was saying earlier, with the founders being very involved, Woody and Yolanda are very involved in the search for real estate. Like that is a huge priority, and so they're boots on the ground right there with their franchisees, looking for that perfect location. So that's the first step. That can take up to 4 months, and it's by far the longest step because you can't get this one wrong.
Right.
We got to get the right location. So once we've got that right location, then we move on to step two, which is training. This can be anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks. And at this stage, Jay, who is our franchise trainer, will come out and spend time with you in the restaurant, getting you up to speed on how everything works. And then that takes you into step three, which is your grand opening. And this is where we get all your marketing in place, your training has been done, you're ready to open up your business and, open up your barbecue to the world. So Jay will actually stay there for a week or two after grand opening just to make sure everything's running smoothly. And then you're off to the races. So lots and lots of training. I mean, there's no shortage of training and support.
So you're at, I think you said when we talked before, was it 11 locations now
We're currently
currently?
at 11 locations and we have several more that are coming on. So end of this year, we'll probably
Oh, you cut out there. I'm sorry. What you said, end of this year,
end of this year, we'll most likely be around 14 locations.
14. Okay. So end of 2023. So
Yeah, it's not something that's been they've never tried to grow the brand to be something really, really big. And
yeah.
so, it was always kept, small, family oriented, but now they're looking to build a legacy, and so they're expanding the business, hopefully to be nationwide. So that's our goal.
Looking at the locations you have open now, obviously everybody decided to purchase for different reasons. Do you have any particular stories of owners that you have right now of why they decided to go with this brand? What drew them to it, and why they decided to pursue this opportunity? Anything that comes to mind with that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So one of our most recent candidates that came on board, her name is Abby. and she is an absolute gem. But when before they actually do Discovery Day, which they come down, they meet the owners of the franchise and kind of get a feel for what that business looks like. Before she went down for Discovery Day and we were having these calls, everything lined up on a business level. We're going over numbers, item 19, making sure that the business model itself was something that we were aligned on. But
Yeah.
that's not the reason that people decide. That's almost like a prerequisite. Like, okay, check, check, check. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing. Okay, this is cool. But the reason that people decide is not in the numbers. It's not the operations. And so when Abby went down for Discovery Day and she met Woody and Yolanda, that was kind of like the golden moment. That was where it all went click
Yeah.
because they loved her and she loved them. And so I think it's that interpersonal relationship that you're going to have with the owners that's so special. And that's really that's what separates this franchise from other franchises is it's so personal.
Hmm.
And so that's what Abby really loves and what she's going to love moving forward. And I think that's what other candidates who are coming on board would really enjoy as well.
Yeah. I want to ask you too. I mean, when you talk about people who need to be in a leadership role with this brand, I mean, I think that's key for every brand, obviously. But can you elaborate more on what that looks like as an owner of a Woody's? Like, where do you see the leaders like really applying those skills so their location can find success ultimately? Where do you feel like they have to apply, and how should they apply that leadership role?
Yeah, definitely don't want to underplay the role of leadership at all, because yeah, like location is a big deal, but a location that's not run well, could fail. If there's not good leadership in place, there's not good management. Um, which we have a system in place, so you follow the system, you're going to be successful. But when things are not managed correctly, there can be issues with any franchise, right? That's any franchise across the board.
Right.
So I would break that example down into two parts. The first one is if you're looking to be an owner operator, okay, and you really need to start out as an owner operator. You have to be hands-on in your business for 6 months to 2 years before you can really start delegating to a general manager.
Hmm.
And that doesn't matter what franchise really you get into. You have to understand the nuts and bolts of the business from the inside out.
Yeah.
So, from an owner operator standpoint, you're going to directly have staff below you that you have to manage, from your cooks to your dishwashers to your servers. And then moving on to your second bracket, if you do want to move on to other locations and keep building out your empire, uh, then you're going to have to train other managers to do that. And now you're managing managers. So that's why leadership and management is so important, because between sort of those two brackets, um, it's a very valuable skill set to have.
Right. Yeah. And when you talk about being hands-on your first, 2 years, let's say, are we talking like, I mean, are we talking like you're at the restaurant 12 hours a day? Are you hands-on in terms of just kind of being a hybrid manager too role? Like how does that look for a new owner?
Yeah, that part is flexible. I mean, we've got some people that'll come on and they'll be in from opening to close, and they just love it that much. They just love what they do. They love being in the kitchen, literally hands on.
Yeah.
They're actually making the food and in the actual business. And then you've got other people who want to just have a little bit more distance and manage it more like a manager, and have more delegating. And so they're more, in and out. They're checking in on things. They've got people that are opening and people that are closing, and they're really just keeping tabs on things to make sure that everything's in order, kind of like a taskmaster, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah. You talked earlier a little bit about location, and I know that um, barbecue in certain parts of the countries is real. I mean, is more popular than others. And if we have people listening here from all over the world or the country, where are you seeing the most opportunity and growth in terms of location? If someone is looking to buy a Woody's, where do you feel like is the best place that will thrive in terms of this brand?
Well, in the United States, I think pretty much any state will have an opportunity to be very successful. I think the key word here is market research. It's very, very important especially when we're looking for a location that we know exactly what do the numbers look like for this particular area. What's the demographic? What are people's eating habits here? So there's a lot of market research that goes into finding the right location. Any state will work, but maybe not any city, because maybe one particular city or town has too many barbecue joints, or it's got too many restaurants. It's got some level of oversaturation.
Yeah.
And so, but that's more on like, a municipal level. That's not really on a statewide level. That being said, though, I would have to say that up in the Northeast, we see a pretty big opportunity because down south, our barbecue is very unique. So even if we have competitors in the South, which we are mostly down south in Jacksonville, whether it was in Texas or Georgia, we've got someone that's opening in North Carolina, where there's other barbecue places, you'll be fine. But up in the Northeast, you don't have nearly as much barbecue, and so yeah, I think if someone, like the Huntington location out in Pennsylvania is doing very well. And so we would love to have more locations out in sort of the Northeast corner, maybe like Delaware, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, sort of trifecta. That would be a very good opportunity.
Yeah, totally. So just to kind of wrap this up, Joe, we're looking at, you have 11 locations now. What have you learned or seen from the growth that's happened so far? What kind of takeaways can people have from this episode when it comes to considering this? Obviously, there's a lot of opportunities for franchising all over the country, thousands of franchises, but in particular with Woody's, in the growth you're seeing, it seems like, and it's pretty rapid right now. What are you learning about why people are drawn to this brand? What are you seeing out there, maybe from the owners you're starting to work with?
Yeah, I would say you got to love barbecue. If you love barbecue, this is the place for you.
Right.
If you're looking at this just as an investor and you're not really into food, not really into barbecue, this may not be the best option. We're really looking for people who are passionate about food. They love barbecue. They love the atmosphere that brings, the culture that surrounds that. And that's the kind of person who's going to not just be very successful, but they're going to love what they do. And so I think the biggest thing I've learned is that the people who thrive are the people who love what they do.
Right.
And so that's my goal as a developer, is to bring people into this brand when they wake up in the morning, they're not going to work. They're going to go do something they love. They get to smoke barbecue for a living. That is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what's great about it is smoking barbecue and barbecuing to me has never been associated with work. Like every time I've gone to a barbecue, like a family barbecue, it just feels laid back. It feels like you're with family, you're having a great time, you're eating, you're talking, watching football, whatever it is. And that doesn't feel like work. So I think that culture, the fact that it doesn't feel like it's a business. It is a business, but it doesn't feel that way because of that cultural element there, makes it even better. So that's great. If you're listening to this, if you're listening to this and you want to get involved with a Woody's franchise, which I highly recommend, especially if you're in the northeastern part of the country, reach out to Joe. Joe, how can people best reach you or contact Woody's about this?
Yep. You can send me an email at joseph@woodys.com, or you can send me a text or give me a call. My number is 484-747-0094. Be happy to talk about it with you.
Thank you so much, Joe. It's been a great conversation. I wish you the best of luck, even though I don't think you need it. I think it's a great brand and it's going to grow. I'm excited to see where it goes in the next year or two. So thanks again for being here, and good luck.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Ryan. Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're interested in becoming an episode sponsor, please email me at livingryan@gmail.com. And thank you so much.